Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name's Karen.
My name is Itai.
And we are, as always, very, very happy to be back with you on the airwaves. Now, for those of you who haven't been listening to the last couple of episodes, we have been harping on for ages about our live episode of Astrology Roast. Now, thankfully, it actually happened. We pulled it off. And last night we got to host our episode and our live event in front of an audience of wonderful, wonderful people who came down to see us just chatter, basically.
It was so fun, and it was in Thornbury, which is a suburb in Melbourne, in the northern suburbs. And everyone that knows anything about Melbourne knows that everything that's cool happens in the northern suburbs. So our event was in the northern suburbs, therefore, hence, it was cool.
Yeah, totally cool. I mean, there are a couple of things that happen in the southeastern suburbs, like where I get my eyebrows threaded or Susie spray tans, but all the cool, hip things are happening in the north. So we decided to take all the people that we know from the south to the north and host a live event. But it was super, super wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for coming down. We'll probably chat a bit more about the actual show next week, but we recorded and we are very excited to bring it to you now.
So what you're going to hear right now is the recording of last night's episode. And don't worry, right after it, there's going to be a fresh new segment of Storytime with Lori Time. And we hope you like it. It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny, shitty intro.
Hi, everyone. Feel like walking to the shops to get like a bottle of milk. Hi everyone, thank you for coming to the live show again. So some people wanted to know how we record and what the process is. Obviously when we record at home I'm always like wearing pants and like clothes, like it's not a strange thing. For anyone that's listening, that's sarcasm.
Yes. My favorite is that hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Love it.
And then you don't know if it's just one person and then you hear like hi.
But then it's another woman. Yes. So I feel really... So just for the listeners that are going to listen to this on their headphones, we're now sitting in front of, 40, 50 people. So it's a bit weird. And I know people have like techniques of how to like imagine everyone naked or do stuff. So what are you doing right now?
So I have a bit of a different technique. My technique is to imagine like bubble wrap being wrapped around me and like cellophane, so I'm blocked from everyone's sensory feelings. So that's my thing. I'm not imagining anyone naked.
Yes.
Clothes.
I like that. It's a strong vision. It's a strong vision. I just wearing my velour. Like this is my special trackies. It's velour. I don't know if you can notice. It's very soft. It makes you feel like $1 million bill. And also, it's halfway to my achieving my actual dream, which is my bachelorette party, like the Britney one, where everyone was wearing Juicy Couture pink, and it said the men had like the same thing, but it said pimps behind it, and the girls had maids, because gender roles. So that's my actual goal. But not really. Yeah, so we thought in order to make it a bit less uncomfortable and weird to start like how we usually start our podcast, which is just like asking each other, how was your week?
Yeah, because we don't spend a lot of time together anyway, so I don't know what you do or where you go. But how has your week been, Itai? And it's a very natural environment to talk about your week in front of a room full of
But just if you don't know yet that Karen and I live together, so we do spend a lot of time together talking about the same things all over again, and then we pick our favorites and we talk about it again.
Intergenerational trauma, Ariana Grande.
Yes. Sometimes I'll be in my room and Karen will come into the house and she'll like say my name to see if I'm there, and I'll just wait 10 seconds to answer just so maybe like I want to be there, like just to make the illusion that I'm not there sometimes, but I'm there. So my week was a bit uneventful, I think, except for the Kendall Jenner. I don't know if you're up to date with what's happening with the Kardashians, but Kendall Jenner, a Scorpio, she released this statement, this video of her talking like no, like the no makeup look, like full of makeup but like no makeup, white t-shirt and jeans, and she was like, I've struggled with this when I was 14 years old, and I didn't have the power that I have now to speak up. So now I'm using my power to actually talk about it. And she didn't say what, and then her mom tweeted it and said, if you want to hear what it is about, come like tomorrow to Kendall's profile and it will be there. And I'm so proud of my baby girl for opening up and using her voice. And everyone was speculating around the net because she's a Scorpio, like what will it be? Everyone thought she's like bisexual. It's called Scorpios. They like everything. Sorry. But everyone was like, maybe she's bisexual, maybe she's like a lesbian, like who? And everyone was like already pretty proud of her. And then she released her new Proactive commercial, and she said that she has like acne and like everyone else. And I just thought that it's such a Scorpio thing to give you like one obvious details about themselves and think they're opening up to you. I have acne. Yeah, we can see that. That was my week.
Wow.
That's everything that happened to me this week.
That's not true, but for now. Wow, exciting week, hard act to follow. And Proactive commercials, I don't know if anyone else finds them very soothing and sensory, but they're beautiful. They raised me. Television did, rather. So my week, as some of you may or may not have noticed, that I have some colour in my hair. Now, the way to pronounce that is called balayage, which I can't pronounce. But it means, according to my 23-year-old hairdresser, who asked me a lot of existentialist questions about, like, what's the deal with being 30? Like, are you where you thought you would be? We went deep. Anyway, she told me that it's French for freehand. But she's like, it would sound really shit if people just said, I'm going to do freehand on your hair for $400. So it's a French word. So that was very exciting for me because I've never had my hair done. It's a real ritual that women participate in, which I've never participated in. Like, you chat and you sit there and they offer you water, and then I was sitting and talking about astrology. The girl next to me turns around in a swivel chair and goes, I love Geminis. And I was just like, you're the only one. Because, we usually get greeted with a lot of scorn and mistrust. Like, everyone's like, oh, my ex was a Gemini. And then, like, blah. It's like with, like, Tinder profile. Like, you don't put it on there because it's just like, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not your ex. Like, I mean, and even if I was, like, we can try again. Anyway.
I use one of my other personalities.
Exactly, my smoke machine out. Exactly. So that was my week. That was really exciting. I also go regularly to a kickboxing class with a gym trainer called Corey Lepou. He's not French, but affectionately known as Corey the Poo. And yeah, he always tries to do like boxing drills with me, and I just keep telling him I'm Jewish, like we don't fight, like we joke and we do this and and he goes, oh, David was a fighter, but other than that I can't think of any. And I was like, Barbara Streisand, like there's so many, but
I think anyway. David was also the original Leo. In my
and a big womanizer apparently.
Yes. It was a redhead. It was a redhead, known fact, and he was very full of himself. He killed Goliath with like one stone, which is very Leo. Like, I'm just gonna rock up with one stone and I'm gonna kill you. Yeah.
Another thing as well, which some of you might also be familiar with, Lindsay Lohan's new show. Has anyone watched it? Anyone suffered through it? No, MTV. Does anyone have a subscription? So, yeah, Lindsay Lohan, the ultimate Cancerian, her show, I've been talking about a lot on the podcast. It's finally been released. It's absolutely awful. It's everything that you thought it was. It's so heart-wrenching. She should never have left the United States to go and record in Mykonos. She has a business partner called Panos, who... I don't know his star sign. We think it could be Cancer. Oh, he's also Cancer. That's right.
Research. He's a Cancerian.
So he constantly, the whole time, he's like, I'm all about the money. Lindsay's the sensitive one. I'm all about the money. And then she's like, I'm the sensitive one. I care about is everyone having a good time in Mykonos at my beach club. Like, it's so heart-wrenchingly depressing. And then you realise that you're sitting on the couch watching Lindsay Lohan, and then you have this kind of reverse kind of existential depression of like, whoa, am I her? Is she me? What's going on? Like,
she's like constantly tearing up the entire show. She's like, she screams at one of the waitresses, and she's like, why did you come to this show? Like, and obviously everyone's there to promote themselves, and for some reason she thinks that they might come to serve her, like to work for her. She's like, I came here for myself. And she's like, well, I don't need people that like work for themselves. And then the next day, this girl comes up to talk to her and she's like tearing up because she loves her so much. It's just like, so she's very emotional.
Very strange. And one girl mentioned that she's religious or something, and Lindsay Lohan goes, I'll be watching you because you're religious. I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. It's really, the whole thing is just shots of people in bathers, like you see about 4 minutes with Lindsay, 4 of which she's crying in. Anyway, so don't watch that.
We're going to watch it for you, and we're going to talk about it on the podcast. Hopefully there will be more eventful things on the show. Also, to the people that are here, and also the people that are listening, if you want to interrupt us at any stage and ask a question or comment, feel free to do so. We will only respond to the people that are currently in this room. But if you are a Gemini or an Aquarius or a Pisces, you can talk to the ether, and I'm sure you'll hear some answers. We thought maybe to share a little bit. Oh, first of all, maybe we can talk a little bit about our entrances, our entrances that we wanted to do here. So we thought that this is a chance for us to achieve all of our dreams, because like we're already here and we have somewhat a stage. So I wanted to go in, if anyone ever watched the VMA 2000, when Britney obviously goes with, she's wearing a suit and she's singing live, like literally live, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, which I thought it's a Britney song, but turns out it's actually the Rolling Stones. And then she wears this suit, and then she sings these ballads, and she sings it in a ballad style, and then she rips the suit apart, and under it she's just like in a body colored suit and diamonds, and that what I wanted to be as my entrance, but due to budget and body dysmorphia, I decided not to do that. What was yours?
Thank you for asking. Mine was a little bit different. I think that's why we couldn't do it, because it was too much of a juxtaposition. So I'm basically wearing my dream outfit, which was to be a young professional, but also to imitate Tina Fey, who's one of my idols, as Liz Lemon in 30 Rock, where she pretends to be Steve Jobs. So she wears a turtleneck and white sneakers, may he rest in peace. And she comes in to present, Saturday Night Live to people that are about to cut their budget, to say why the show shouldn't be cut. And she's like, got a PowerPoint much like this one, and she's saying like, I think I'll let the show speak for herself, and then shows all these things. So I thought that was I thought no one would get it, and I wanted to do it, but again, budget restrictions, we didn't do it.
I also wanted to ask you, because you're obviously like a podcaster, a creator. Oh, yeah. You had some businesses. The Orange, we all drank Baladi juice back in the day when it was a business. What was your... But Karen is a Gemini, and she has a lot of ideas, and
they're all not for profit. That's what I've always said.
But they all happen.
Grassroots and not for profit.
So, like, who was your influence or inspiration growing up?
Growing up, as I said, television raised me. But yeah, all of the Jewish sitcoms. So obviously, The Nanny and Seinfeld, because growing up in Melbourne, Australia, obviously I went to a Jewish school, so I had a lot of Jewish influences, but you just look around you and you're like, Home and Away, that's not me, I can't surf, I'm scared of the ocean, that's not okay, I don't do Christmas, I feel very unsettled all the time. The balayage might fool you, but this is new. So seeing people that were like me on set and seeing women that could be funny, I always grew up thinking like being a woman you shouldn't be funny, and like it's a really shameful thing, like you shouldn't do that, so that was always really heartening. Now it's obviously moved to a lot more Ariana Grande, Whitney Houston, may she rest in peace, people that are kind of being honest about their struggles and still kicking goals.
I like that answer.
I'm glad.
Thank you. Tell me more. I'm also going to answer, even though you didn't ask. But
sorry, yes.
Well, I also relate. I relate, obviously, as I said, to Britney Spears. I think she's also been torn apart by the media, just much like Lindsay. And she also was like an escapism. Is that a word? Yes, in a way. But also, she is growing up gay and religious. I think one of the quotes that stood out for me through the years when Britney referred to gay people as somewhat girls. She's like, she was never like a problematic artist most of the time, but then someone told her that work beach is inappropriate because she's like using gay slang, and then her response to that was, what? I love my gay fans because they're somewhat girls. And I feel like she's misunderstood, and that if I look up to her, I learn a lot about like how you shouldn't be like talking. But as Manika said, she is a Sagittarius. I think sometimes they're quick to talk, but they really have a pure heart. Another Sagittarius that inspired me is when I just came back from Israel, and I needed to go to Tel Aviv from my town that I live in that doesn't have public transportation to cities because it doesn't register as like a place that people see as you need public transportation to get in and out of. It's boring, so like no one cares. And my mom, they developed new methods of public transportation. It's a WhatsApp group with everyone in the town. And my mom wrote at 8 a.m., my 30-year-old son, need to go to Tel Aviv. Who can take him? And this woman, this Sagittarius woman, said, I'm going completely somewhere else, but I can take him. And I was like, I just need to get out of here. So I took the ride. Then I ended up paying a taxi. Anyway, horrible decision. But she turned out to be the daughter of my grade 4 teacher. And that teacher is like a teacher that changed my life because I don't know if you know it, I've spoken about it on the podcast, but I was a bit chubby as a kid, and sometimes like kids would make fun of me for being not chubby, fat. So I would obviously, like being the Aries that I am, I would either like turn to violence, not even joking, physical violence. I had a lot of emotions, bottled up. But sometimes I would also go outside and like feel sad, would never cry, but would feel sad. And one time this teacher, my grade 4 teacher, she was also very chubby. And she came out after me and she was like, listen, I'm fat and my kids, I have some fat kids. And this is like a definitive moment of my life. And she's like, and it's okay, like, people love you and people will love you and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you like him or capital H-I-M. You were born this way, baby, and then Lady Gaga then stole it and made a song, but originally was spoken to me at grade 4, and then I became a teacher, and I always refer to her as like an inspiration and a teacher that like saw me and changed my life. So I went into the car and I started talking to the Sagittarius daughter of my teacher, and I told her everything I just told you, and she said, well, I'm glad you liked her because she was a pretty shitty mom. I was like, you're a Sagittarius. Like, should have seen that coming. Yeah. Horrible. Crushed my dream, crushed everything, I believe.
Do you think she was fat as a child?
Oh, that daughter. Maybe. I think if we're getting serious, her mom was one of these people that were like outside of the house, like giving and to everyone. And I would love to know what her sign was, but probably because she said, "Oh, like I know a lot of people have seen her outside, but at home, like she wasn't the same," which I can relate to with my own dad. So. That was a joke, but it's a sad joke.
Everyone just went like,
my Aquarius dad.
Yeah.
Aquarius dad.
Not your daddy, your dad.
Not my daddy. Those are other people. That's just my actual dad.
It's a face.
So I was the most Gemini thing. So Karen is, I think the right phrase is a stellium Gemini. When you have a lot of planets in the same sign, it's called a stellium. So Karen is a stellium Gemini through and through. What was the most Gemini thing you ever done?
Well, you already mentioned all the businesses. May they also rest in peace. If anyone needs like plastic cups or like some stickers and stuff around things, please contact me.
It's recyclable.
Recyclable for the environmentalists. One of the most Gemini things, in addition to having a million different weird jobs, so I told you earlier that I did once work on a pirate ship. And you asked me, does that ship move around? I said, no, it's stationary, it's in the Docklands, which I'm assuming no one here's ever been to ever. No, I was just joking, but obviously, okay. No one's, it's a place in Melbourne, near the city. So yeah, I did work on a ship, but other than that, as a young kind of cool teenager, being, obviously not, I used to write a lot of letters to fundamentalist groups under a false pseudonym. So I would send via my email, which would still come up with my full family name. I didn't realise that until later. Under the pseudonym Karen Feldman, for some reason.
Which is as almost as your actual.
Yeah, I thought that was really like kind of non-denominational, very Anglo, very safe. From 65 Shuba Road on my dial-up internet, I would send emails to various like Aryan fundamentalists and like right-wing fascist groups trying to reason with them. So trying to explain why their ideas weren't kind of good or why like it wasn't correct and like why did they think this way. I was really curious about what motivated them. I really learned some really wacky stuff about the reasons why, they would write these whole diatribes around like, Kingdom of Khazar, and this is why, Jews come from this people, billions, and some would just write like, lol, fuck, no, like the more scary ones. Like, these are really shady groups, but some would write whole kind of theses about, why they had these kind of awful, awful beliefs. Sometimes I'd write to people, who might have body dysmorphia, saying like, why do you think this way? And like, you're beautiful. And like, it was a whole secret world that was going on.
Where were you in my childhood?
Yeah, I don't know. So like, I'm so pleased that young people now have the internet like at a really rapid pace, because you can all be weirdos and not have to worry too much about that.
Definitely.
But yeah, now I realise, I'm a Gemini. I have like 5 planets in Gemini. Maybe that's why I was so connected to the media and communicating and understanding and curiosity. So I think that might, and the pirate ship, of course,
Yeah, sometimes I feel like you're still there.
That's true.
So
What's the most Aries thing that you've done? Hang on.
Oh, the most Aries thing that I've done. I think a lot, if you listen to the podcast or if you know me from my personal life, I know a lot of the time I would come across as like very unenthusiastic, like kind of like dead face, like don't believe in love.
Yeah, like old dead facey tie. That's really happening. No, you don't look like that.
Like there's someone in this audience that offered me a job 3 years ago that like it was really hard to get, and it was literally like the job that got me to live in Australia or to not. And I like applied to the job with like 10 other people, and then they took me like the two bosses, and they're like, "You got the job," and I was like, "Thank you!" Like, and I was really excited. I was really excited, and I think it's the Virgo moon actually to feel safe when things are like not crazy and weird. But I think my Aries comes to play the most in love. And it's hard to believe, but like I'm crazy. I do crazy, romantic, weird, dangerous things. Like, like I met a guy. I met a guy right before I left Israel for 3 months back in the day. For one night, we spent one night together, and then I really wanted to see him again, but he didn't have money, and I also didn't have money, but I did have. 10,000 shekels that you get like as a bonus if you do a shit job. So if you work in a petrol station for 6 months, you'll get 10,000 shekels as a bonus because no one wants to do that. And I did that, and I really wanted to see him. So I bought him a ticket with all this money, and I think that's like an Aries. Like this money doesn't mean anything if I can see you like for 3 weeks. But it also has a downfall because, for example, when someone broke up with me after 2 years, and I really wanted to get with him so I can break up with him. So we broke up with me, and then we got back together after a week. And by that week, I went blonde, cut my hair. I had 4 different new haircuts. But that week we got back together. It was his birthday, and I did this like crazy Virgo production. A picnic, and then this and that, and his favorite CDs, and we redesigned the album covers on Photoshop and everything. And the highlight was a couple baking class, but like not just you, like with other couples. And he was an Aquarius, as all of my exes, and he was on his phone the whole baking class, talking to his roommate that he spent the whole time with. We never text when we're not in the house. And then we went to the baking shop. We baked the baking class. This whole weekend cost me literally everything I had. And we went to this baking class. We made these 20 brioche buns. We went back to his house.
So sad. I'm sorry.
Is it?
It sounds sad.
It's so
when
romantic.
you're making brioche buns, it's the end.
Wait, it's not the end. We went back to his house.
I don't know.
And then he broke up with me again. And I had to go and I had to leave. And I didn't take even one bun. And he had all the buns. And I think that's where I'm the most Aries, where I think about those things, who won the breakup, who lost the breakup, and I also would do these crazy productions, just out of And also this rant was very Aries, very Aries.
No, it's amazing.
I have a question. What's in the dress?
It's fine. He's actually when you have an ex that you wish that they loved you because they're so amazing, and when you break up with them, everyone's like, oh. We're so sorry because they're sad that they're not going to see them anymore. So, that's him. I wish him all the best.
Question on the live stream.
Wow. Oh my God.
I'll just read it out. It says Lady Gaga at the Golden Globes randomly emotional and tried to cry quite frequently. Is this Lady Gaga acting or another trait of her star sign? From a concerned Capricorn.
Wow.
Appreciate the concern. She's an Aries.
She's an Aries.
Very emotional Aries.
Yeah, but do you think she's just switching it on? Because that's not very Aries to all of a sudden start crying. So
yeah, the biggest proof is when she's doing this emotional, there could be 100 people in the room, but she's if you haven't seen it, there's a compilation of her saying 30 times the same sentence, which is there could be 100 people in the room, but it only takes one to believe in you, and that's you. And she points in Bradley Cooper. Even the videos where he's not there, she still points. So
she changes how many people, 100 to 1,000 people, 500, but just one needs to believe.
Our official answer is she's faking it.
Yeah.
So we would like to end this episode with a few thank yous. Sam over here, also known as Sloth the Leo, we talked about her a few times on the podcast. Also is responsible for the iconic sentence, this is my spirit animal, pointing at a picture of herself.
Amazing.
Leo.
Texted us to say I'm running 1 minute late.
Yes.
Anyway, amazing.
Helen over there is recording it, is live. She's a Virgo, and some would say a mega Virgo. She's recording this while she's probably writing her thesis in psychology and running her own Insta accounts.
You're getting married in 2020 in Israel.
You can follow her food account on Instagram. It's called Too Good to Resist, but 2 TWO, 2 people, because it started as 2 people. But because she was a Virgo, she was the other person's nah. Change the password, goodbye. Zoe, our beautiful Aquarius friend.
You're the best. You brought the rose. You just do everything.
They cooked the roast. It was just my oven.
No, you're just your energy. You are the Mother Earth energy.
Yes, we want to thank Manika again for being the great Gemini. And we hope that if you're interested, you can take her card and contact her.
Yep.
Our friend Alina, the Libra, that brought the Barbie doll and the ice. And she's also a feature on one of our episodes, New Territory, where you can hear her talking about the doll that she came here from Russia with, Vova.
She's also a human rights lawyer that does free pro bono work for anyone that's here tonight.
Yeah.
Tenancy, civil litigation, fines, petty. Yeah, and
Whatever
Sam can also help out as well. CVs, resumes. Yeah?
Free for where we planned our episode. It's called Bayano the Rebel. It's the best cafe in Melbourne. It's on Ellis Street next to Chapel Street, and we go there every Saturday to plan the episode on this notebook. So even this morning we did this, and we also want to get a chance to thank the people that were guests on our podcast, on the episodes. Every now and then there's people that are guests, so you can listen to them. It's Shoshi, It's Laura, it's Alina, it's Nikki, it's Lauren, Romy, and Max. We love you and thank you. Anything else?
I don't know.
And to you guys.
to us.
And also to everyone that came. Oh my God.
Obviously, a huge thank you for all of you for coming on a Saturday night to participate in this. It's been super, super fun. A lot of people have suggested that I kind of become a professional matchmaker and do like a astrological dating night. Again, not for profit, so like we'll workshop that. I'm sure it'll be a nest. And, but yeah, if you're looking for love in all the wrong places, you know, I'm going to monetize that soon. But thank you again for coming, new faces, old faces. We really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you tune into the episodes if you want to, or the Instagram. But thank you again, and it's been an absolute delight.
Yay.
It's story time with Laurie time. Sit back, recline, it's story time with Laurie time. It's telling my story, such a crime. So, one summer, we used to go to Surfers Paradise as a family, like any good Jewish family in Melbourne does. And we returned home, and my beautiful Polish grandma and grandfather were over cleaning our house in preparation of our return. And we walked into one of my brother's rooms, and my brother had been like, you know, he was like 15, 16, pretty cool. And he had been covering the whole top of his desk in candle wax for about 2 years. Like, he'd been really working on this. And we found her bent over, like, with her, you know, butt facing us with a knife, like, scraping all this wax off the top of his desk. And he was mortified. And then we move into my next brother's room, and we see it's, like, spotless. And he opens his cupboard, and he sees that my grandma has thrown out his entire collection of porn magazines that he'd been collecting probably since the age of about 10. And we're talking like a lot of porn magazines, like vintage ones, new ones. And I would have been, you know, about 6, and I remember all this, which is pretty big. You know, a little twisted in itself, but that's okay. So he was mortified, absolutely mortified. But lucky for him, he has really mangled toes, still does to this day. They're disgusting. And he had an ingrown toe at the moment. I still remember the purple side of his toe. And he had to have something surgically done in hospital. So he was in hospital for 2 days. And he had a lot of visitors come, even my parents' friends, and everyone that came to visit him kindly brought him a porno magazine so he could restart his collection. #family life.